Beyond the bright lights of Hollywood fame lies the personal journey of a man whose faith stands as his greatest strength. Mel Gibson, known to millions for his legendary roles on screen, carries with him something far more precious than any accolade: an unwavering commitment to his spiritual beliefs. On a seemingly ordinary spring day in Central Park, New York, this faith would be challenged in the most unexpected way, leading to an encounter that would leave witnesses forever changed. If you enjoy content that helps you grow spiritually, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join our community for more inspiration. Let's get started. The morning air carried a gentle coolness as Mel Gibson found his way to a secluded bench beneath an ancient oak tree. The park was quieter than usual, a small mercy he gladly accepted. With his worn leather Bible in hand, its pages marked with colourful tabs and handwritten notes in the margins, he sought nothing more than a moment of peace away from the constant scrutiny of public life. Gibson opened the Bible carefully, treating it with the reverence of a treasured heirloom. His fingers traced the gilded edges before settling on a passage from Psalms. Around him, the world continued its hurried pace. Joggers following their routines, couples walking hand in hand, and tourists capturing memories. Yet, in his small corner of the park, time seemed to slow down. For over an hour, he remained absorbed in reflection, occasionally looking up to observe a passing butterfly or the dance of leaves in the spring breeze. His presence hadn't gone unnoticed, however. A group of young men, university students perhaps, had spotted the Hollywood icon from across the grass. "Look who's decided to grace us with his presence," one of them called out loudly enough for Gibson to hear. Hollywood's holy man himself. Gibson looked up, his concentration broken. The 5 young men approached confidently, their expressions a mixture of amusement and disdain. He closed his Bible slowly, but didn't set it aside. "Mind if we join you?" asked the tallest of the group without waiting for a response. They circled the bench, creating a half-moon around Gibson, who remained seated, his expression calm. "We were just discussing how people use religion as a psychological crutch," said another, adjusting his glasses with practiced precision. "Especially interesting when it's someone who has everything society values: fame, fortune, influence." Gibson studied them carefully before speaking. Sometimes what appears to be a crutch to one person is a foundation to another. We all face moments when doubt creeps in, when life feels overwhelming and finding answers seems impossible. In those moments, proper understanding and guidance can make all the difference. This is exactly what The Secret of Jesus' Apparitions offers: a path to clarity and peace through his revelations. This ebook goes into his prophecies and offers insight into what lies ahead. It's available for free in the pinned comment. Grab it now before the edition's gone. The group exchanged glances, surprised by his composed response. "But surely you must see the contradiction," pressed the young man with glasses. "You've made violent films, you've had public scandals, and yet you sit here with that book as if it offers some kind of redemption." "That's precisely what it offers," Gibson replied softly. "Grace isn't for the perfect. It's for those who need it most." The youngest member of the group stepped forward, his confidence bolstered by his companions. "It's all just stories, though, isn't it? Ancient myths that people cling to because they're afraid of their own mortality." One of them pulled out a phone, hitting record. "This should be interesting. Maybe we'll catch the moment when faith meets reality." Gibson didn't flinch at the camera pointed his way. His grip on the Bible tightened slightly, but his expression remained unchanged. "What does that book have that science doesn't?" challenged the tall one, gesturing toward the Bible. At least science can prove what it claims. Some things can't be measured in a laboratory, Gibson answered. Love, hope, forgiveness, the very things that make us human. The young man with glasses leaned forward, his voice taking on a sharper edge. Those are just chemical reactions in the brain. These reactions serve as evolutionary adaptations, ensuring the survival of the species. Nothing mystical about it. The others nodded in agreement, emboldened by each statement. Mind if I see that Bible of yours? Asked one suddenly, reaching forward. I'm curious what passages you've highlighted. They must be the comfortable ones that don't challenge your lifestyle. Gibson didn't release his hold on the book. You can mock me all you want, he said evenly, but this book isn't just paper and ink to me. What is it then? Laughed the youngest. Magic? What happened next would later be described differently by each witness present. As Gibson stood, still holding his Bible firmly, the sky above, which had been perfectly clear moments earlier, darkened dramatically. Not with storm clouds, but with thousands of birds appearing seemingly from nowhere, circling in perfect formation above them. The young men stepped back, their attention drawn upward to the extraordinary sight. The birds, sparrows, finches and doves moved in mesmerizing patterns, creating shapes that seemed almost deliberate in their precision. "What the?" muttered one of the group, lowering his phone. The air around them grew noticeably warmer, despite the cool spring temperature. The leaves of the oak tree above them began to rustle, though there was no wind. Gibson simply stood watching, as surprised as anyone by what was unfolding. The birds continued their aerial display, now forming what appeared to be a protective circle directly above where they stood. Park-goers stopped in their tracks, pointing upward at the spectacle. Then the light appeared, not harsh or blinding, but a soft, golden illumination that appeared to come from all directions at once. It bathed the small gathering in its warm glow, reflecting brilliantly off the golden edges of Gibson's Bible. The young man who had been recording lowered his phone slowly, his hand trembling slightly. "Is anyone else seeing this?" he whispered. For those seeking to understand moments of divine connection like this one, wisdom awaits in the pages of our free e-book. The remaining copies are disappearing quickly. Find yours in the pinned comment before they're gone. The tallest of the group, who had been the first to speak, suddenly clutched his chest and dropped to his knees. His friends rushed to him, concerned. "Are you okay? What's happening?" I don't know," he managed. "It feels like warmth everywhere." Tears welled in his eyes as he looked up at Gibson, who had not moved. "What is this?" Gibson knelt beside him, concern etched on his face. "Are you in pain?" "No," the young man said, bewildered by his own reaction. "It's the opposite. I feel peace. I haven't felt peace in so long." The others watched in confusion as their friend, always the most vocal critic of religion, now trembled on the ground, overcome with emotion he couldn't explain. "This doesn't make sense," muttered the one with glasses, though his academic certainty seemed to be wavering. Above them the birds began to disperse, but the golden light remained. Gibson opened his Bible to a passage and read silently to himself before looking at the young man still kneeling on the ground. "Sometimes understanding comes after the experience, not before," he said quietly. As the light began to fade, something else occurred that defied explanation. The flowers surrounding the bench where Gibson had been sitting, ordinary daisies moments before, had transformed. Each one now displayed an intricate pattern on its petals, resembling ancient script in shimmering gold. Park-goers had gathered at a distance, murmuring among themselves about the birds and the light. But only those in the immediate circle could see the transformed flowers. The young man with the phone had been recording the entire time. With shaking hands, he checked the footage. only to find his screen completely blank. Not broken, not malfunctioning, but showing absolutely nothing, as if the memory had been wiped clean. "The video, it's gone," he said, his voice barely audible. Gibson appeared unsurprised. "Some things aren't meant to be captured or shared," he said. "They're meant to be experienced." The youngest of the group, who had been silent for some time, finally spoke. "My grandmother used to tell me stories like this, about moments when the veil between worlds thins. I always thought they were just fables." "Perhaps they were memories," Gibson suggested gently. The young man who had been kneeling gradually regained his composure, though something in his eyes had changed, a newfound depth, as if he had glimpsed something beyond ordinary perception. "I came here to challenge what I didn't understand," he said, his voice steady despite his tears. "I thought faith was weakness, but what I felt just now, that wasn't weak. It was the most powerful thing I've ever experienced." His friends helped him to his feet, their own expressions a mixture of confusion and awe. The one with glasses removed them, cleaning the lenses methodically, as if the action might also clear his thoughts. "I study quantum physics," he said finally. "We have theories about multiple dimensions, realities beyond what we can perceive. Maybe what we call faith is simply awareness of those dimensions." Gibson smiled but offered no theories of his own. Instead, he extended his hand to the young man who had been overcome. "Whatever you experienced, it was between you and something greater than both of us. I was just fortunate to be here." Some encounters leave us searching for meaning in life's mysteries. Our complimentary ebook offers guidance for those exact moments. Only a few copies remain available. Secure yours through the pinned comment while you still can. As the group prepared to leave, visibly shaken by what they had witnessed, the birds returned once more, this time forming a perfect line that stretched across the sky before dispersing in all directions. "Will it happen again?" asked the youngest, looking hopefully at Gibson. "That's not for me to say," Gibson replied. "But once you've experienced something true, you'll recognize it when it returns in different forms." The young men nodded, a newfound respect evident in their demeanor. They departed quietly, occasionally glancing back at Gibson, who had returned to his bench, Bible open on his lap, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Only one person remained behind, the one who had experienced such powerful effects. He stood awkwardly, as if wanting to say something, but unable to find the words. "You don't need to explain," Gibson assured him. "Some experiences transcend language." "Will I always feel this way?" the young man asked finally. Gibson considered the question carefully. "The feeling may fade, but the memory of it can be an anchor. That's why testimony matters. It reminds us of what we've witnessed when doubt returns." Later that evening, as Gibson left the park, he noticed something unusual. Little white feathers, previously absent, lined the pathway before him. They formed a perfect line leading toward the exit, as if marking a path forward. Meanwhile, across the city, 5 young men sat in silent contemplation at a small cafe. No one touched their drinks. No one checked their phones. The usual debates and discussions that defined their friendship were noticeably absent. Finally, the one who had been most affected spoke. "Whatever happened today, we can't dismiss it as nothing." "Mass hallucination?" suggested the one with glasses, though his tone lacked conviction. "All those other people saw the birds too," countered another. "And the light." "The flowers," added the youngest. "Don't forget the flowers with those strange markings." They fell silent again, each lost in personal reflection. An unexplainable experience, not arguments or evidence, challenged their worldview. As night fell over New York, Gibson sat in his hotel room, the same Bible open before him. He hadn't planned for what happened. He hadn't predicted it. He certainly hadn't caused it. Yet he wasn't surprised by it either. Faith had always been this way for him, not a set of propositions to defend, but a reality to be experienced. He experienced faith in private reflections at times and in dramatic moments such as today. Either way, it remained the foundation upon which he built his life, despite his very public falls and failures. He turned to a blank page at the back of his Bible and wrote the date, followed by a brief account of what had transpired. It would join dozens of other such entries, a personal record of moments when the invisible had become visible, when the spiritual had touched the physical. Not for proof, not for others, but as a reminder to himself that even in a world that increasingly demanded empirical evidence for everything, some truths could only be known through experience. And somewhere across the city, a young man who had come to mock was now experiencing the first quiet stirrings of something he had denied his entire life. The possibility that beyond the material world, beyond what could be measured and quantified, there existed something greater, something real. His journey was just beginning, but like countless others throughout history, he had been touched by something beyond explanation, a brief glimpse behind the veil that separated the seen from the unseen. And nothing would ever be quite the same again. The transformation witnessed here reminds us that spiritual awakening can happen anywhere, anytime. Continue your own journey with our free ebook. Check the pinned comment to claim yours before they're gone. The tale of Mel Gibson's unexpected encounter in Central Park would never make headlines. Film or social media would never capture it. Yet its impact would ripple outward in ways no one could measure. Through the lives of 5 young men forever changed by what they witnessed. Through the strangers in the park who saw birds form impossible patterns in the sky. Through the quiet testimony Gibson himself would share with close friends. The truly miraculous is often missed by everyone except those who are directly affected by it in a world that is hungry for spectacle. Faith continues its quiet work not in grand cathedrals or theological debates, but in ordinary moments transformed by extraordinary presence. And for those with eyes to see and hearts open to wonder, these moments remain the most convincing testimony of all. If these insights resonate with you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Your super thanks support helps us create more content like this. Join our community and stay connected. Sometimes the greatest miracles aren't the ones that defy the laws of nature, but those that transform the human heart. From doubt to wonder, from mockery to reverence, from certainty to humility. And sometimes, the simplest act of reading an ancient text on a park bench becomes the catalyst for something that transcends understanding.